It's funny how a single moment can cleave your life in two, before and after. For me, before was coming home on our 5-year anniversary, clutching a reservation to that ridiculously expensive tasting menu at the French Laundry I'd saved for months to book. Before was the scent of the peonies I'd bought in the passenger seat, their pink heads lolling in the passenger seat. After is the image seared into my brain. The door to our bedroom slightly ajar, the familiar rhythm of the creaking headboard, and the sight of my girlfriend, Chloe, with my best friend, Ben, in the bed we'd picked out together at West Elm. The world didn't so much crumble as it just dissolved. The confrontation was a blur of her tearful, nonsensical excuses and his stunned, guilty silence. The peonies I dropped on the floor felt like a particularly cruel joke from the universe. I don't remember packing a bag. I just remembered driving. The city lights of San Francisco smeared into a watercolor of indifference. Hours later, I found myself in a worn-out booth at a 24-hour diner, the Midnight Mug over in the outer sunset, the kind of place that smells of stale coffee and regret. The waitress kept refilling my cup, her expression a mixture of pity and professional detachment. My phone buzzed incessantly on the table, a frantic chorus of texts and calls from Chloe and Ben. I watched the screen light up with their names, feeling nothing but a profound, chilling emptiness. The rage I expected to feel was absent, replaced by a hollow ache that seemed to resonate in my very bones. A few days of crashing on my brother's couch, surrounded by his well-meaning but suffocating concern, I started to think. The emptiness began to recede, and in its place, a cold, hard anger started to crystallize. I thought about Chloe's lifelong dream of opening her own bakery. We'd spent countless late nights sketching out business plans on napkins, visiting potential locations, and taste-testing her creations. I'd been her biggest cheerleader, her unwavering financial and emotional support. Then I thought of Ben, his desperate ambition to make a name for himself with his landscape photography, his constant complaints about the lack of recognition and the struggle to get his work into a reputable gallery. A plan, intricate and cruel, began to unfurl in the darkness of my mind. The first step was the hardest. I had to swallow my pride, choke back the bile that rose in my throat, and reach out. I texted Chloe first, a simple, "We need to talk." We met at a neutral location, a bench in Golden Gate Park. I played the part of the heartbroken but forgiving partner. I told her I was devastated, but that 5 years was too much to just throw away. I saw the flicker of hope in her tear-filled eyes, and I knew I had her. With Ben, it was a phone call. I told him he was like a brother to me, and that our friendship was more important than this mistake. He was so relieved, so pathetically grateful, that he didn't even question it. They both bought it, hook, line, and sinker. I began to invest in their dreams, becoming the benevolent benefactor of their future happiness. I loaned Chloe a significant sum, the bulk of my savings, to secure a lease for her dream bakery, the Rolling Pin, a charming, sun-drenched spot on Valencia Street. I was there for the renovations, the menu planning, the hiring of staff. At the same time, I leveraged a contact from my graphic design career to introduce Ben to a gallery owner in Hayes Valley. I became his de facto agent, helping him curate his portfolio, refine his artist's statement, and even investing in a new state-of-the-art printer for his studio. I was the architect of their success, and they were oblivious.
My life became a performance. I would sit across from Chloe at Phil's Coffee, discussing the rising cost of organic flour, the image of her with Ben a constant, intrusive presence in my mind. We'd have dinner at Delphina, a place we used to love, and she'd talk excitedly about the bakery's opening day, her hand occasionally brushing mine, sending a jolt of revulsion through me. I'd go with Ben to watch the Warriors at the Chase Center, sharing a beer and talking about his upcoming gallery show, all the while fantasizing about smashing the bottle over his head. The duplicity was exhausting, a poison that seeped into every aspect of my life. I was fueled by a toxic cocktail of adrenaline and resentment.
The sabotage was subtle, a slow-acting poison. With Chloe, I'd casually mention the cautionary tale of a similar bakery in the Mission District that had gone under due to poor financial management, planting a seed of doubt in her already anxious mind. With Ben, I'd bring up the fickleness of the art world, how a single scathing review could torpedo a promising career. I was their confidant, the one they came to with their fears and insecurities, and I used that trust to amplify their anxieties, to turn the screws ever so slightly.
The pressure began to work its magic. Chloe was a bundle of frayed nerves, working 18-hour days, her initial excitement curdling into a desperate fear of failure. Ben was a nervous wreck, obsessing over every detail of his gallery opening, his initial confidence eroding into self-doubt. Their own relationship, built on the unstable ground of our betrayal, began to fracture. Their arguments became more frequent, a fact I gleaned from their strained silences when I was around, and the concerned friend conversations I had with each of them separately. Now, for the masterstroke. I suggested to Chloe that she cater Ben's gallery opening. "It's a fantastic opportunity for exposure," I said, my voice a mask of earnest encouragement. "The kind of people who go to these things are exactly the clientele you want for the rolling pin." She jumped at the chance, desperate for any business, and oblivious to the trap I was setting. This would force them into a high-stress, professional collaboration, a crucible designed to incinerate what little remained of their illicit romance. The week leading up to the opening was a masterpiece of manufactured calm. I was the eye of the storm, the serene center around which their anxieties swirled. I helped Ben hang his photographs, offering my designer's eye for the perfect placement. I taste-tested Chloe's canapés, offering helpful suggestions and praising her talent. They were both teetering on the edge, and I was the one holding their hands, whispering words of encouragement, all the while knowing that I was about to push them over. The irony was so thick, so rich, I could almost taste it. The night of the gallery opening arrived. The space in Hayes Valley was buzzing, filled with the self-important chatter of the San Francisco art scene. Ben, looking dapper in a tailored suit, was in his element, schmoozing with potential buyers. Chloe, looking flustered and overworked, was frantically arranging her pastry display, a beautiful but desperate-looking spread of miniature tarts and savory scones. I had already done my part, extending personal invitations to a notoriously ruthless food blogger I knew through my work and a highly respected and feared art critic. The stage was set.
I spotted it from across the room, a flash of anger in the cramped corridor leading to the kitchen. Chloe and Ben locked in a heated, whispered argument. Her hands were waving frantically, her face a mask of indignation. His expression was of dismissive arrogance. I edged closer, pretending to admire a photograph, and caught snippets of their conversation. She was accusing him of being ungrateful, of not even acknowledging her contribution to his big night. He hissed back that she was being needy, that this was about him, not her damn croissants. It was the spark I needed to ignite the inferno.
I made my way over to the art critic, a formidable man with a reputation for eviscerating artists for sport. I made some banal comment about the lighting, then leaned in conspiratorially. "You know," I said, my voice barely above whisper, "the real story here is the one behind the art. The photographer and the caterer. It's a tale of passion, betrayal, and borrowed dreams." I saw the flicker of interest in his eyes. I then moved on to the food blogger, who was already snapping pictures of the catering. I spun a similar, yet slightly different tale, hinting at the bakery's unstable foundations and the drama behind the delicious pastries. I didn't lie, not exactly. I just curated the truth, presenting it in the most damaging way possible. The effect was instantaneous. The critic, his journalistic instincts piqued, began to grill Ben, his questions shifting from the technical aspects of the photography to more personal inquiries about his inspirations and collaborations, all with a knowing glance in Chloe's direction. The food blogger started a live stream, her voice a gleeful narration of the deliciously scandalous backstory of the evening. The atmosphere in the gallery soured. The whispers started, then grew into a low hum of gossip. Chloe and Ben, already at their breaking point, started to argue openly, their voices rising in a crescendo of accusation and recrimination. It was a spectacular public implosion, and I stood there, a silent observer, watching the wreckage of their lives unfold. As the chaos reached its peak, I slipped out the gallery side door. The cool night air was a welcome relief. The sounds of their self-destruction faded behind me as I walked down the street. But the rush of triumph, the sweet taste of victory I had anticipated for so long, never came. There was only that familiar, hollow ache, a void that even the most perfectly executed revenge couldn't fill. I took out my phone and looked at a picture of Chloe and me from a trip to Lake Tahoe a couple of years ago. We were smiling, happy, blissfully unaware of the future that awaited us. I deleted it. Just then a text from my brother lit up the screen. "You okay?" I stood there, under the sterile glow of a street lamp, the 3 words blinking on the screen, a question I didn't have an answer to. And for the first time in a long time, I had no idea what I was going to do next.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this Reddit story, drop a comment below and don't forget to subscribe for more wild Reddit stories like this one.